Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
There's a certain expectancy a bride and groom have from you. If you're going to say yes to shoot their wedding, it means you have to emotionally give a part of yourself to them. Where it is they want to go and where it is they've started from will define that journey. My job is to try and find that journey for them in their wedding film. When I made my wedding video, seeing my ex-wife's face when I first showed it to her, that was quite something. We try and layer each film with tons of emotions, and it goes through the happiness, the sadness, the love, the attachment, and the detachment from their own families. You see that graph through a wedding video. The amount of comments that poured in from everyone, it motivated me and inspired me to start the wedding film. And that's when I coined the phrase the wedding film. No matter who you are, where you go, there's a lot of appreciation for what you do, because the kind of work we do, it's very reflective of the life we live. So I guess seeing your own life shot very beautifully and presented beautifully, we don't see it that way. And when people end up doing so, I think that's why we became really popular, because like you end up showing it back to people, and they're very surprised when they see themselves be as cinematic and be as beautiful. Well, your wedding lehenga won't really save your wedding on times of trouble, no? Your marriage, I mean. Your wedding film becomes a time capsule, and we've always kept it that way. The one thing that hasn't changed is the consistency and the quality of our work. I think over the years, because technology has gotten more advanced and because cameras have gotten cooler, clothes designs have gotten cooler. So we always get better at what we do with each film. Because of our background in filmmaking, very few people who've understood filmmaking and have mastered the art of filmmaking would venture into wedding videography. Most people who start with wedding videography go into advertising and filmmaking, but I took the opposite path, which is go from filmmaking and advertising into something like wedding filmmaking. Therefore bringing all the expertise that I learned in advertising and Bollywood into this world. It creates jobs for people. There's a trust factor that people have in you as well when you do something like this. So I think that's why we've become favorites. I think the main difference between a celebrity wedding and a regular wedding, although in my opinion I don't think there's anything called a regular wedding. I think every wedding is a celebrity wedding. Look at this one. But there's a certain expectancy a bride and groom have from you. If you're going to say yes to shoot their wedding, it means you have to emotionally give a part of yourself to them. You have to put yourself in their shoes. You have to understand why they're coming together and what it is they want to remember. There's no difference between a celebrity wedding and a normal wedding. I think the preparation for each one is very intense. Knowing their story, knowing their culture, knowing their traditions, knowing their background, why they choose a location to get married, and most importantly, why they've chosen each other to get married. Different people have different reasons for marrying. The core reason being the same though, through every relationship that you see. It's easier to make it in this world if you're two people than if you're one. And where it is they want to go and where it is they've started from will define that journey. My job is to try and find that journey for them in their wedding. This is not something you can sell someone. It's something that it's to each one's taste. But more than taste, I feel like the value of a wedding film, when I first began, very few people hired me in 2010 to 2012. I was only doing Japanese weddings, I did a Korean wedding, I did a Spanish wedding, I did an English wedding, I did an American wedding, but I hadn't done an Indian wedding yet. I even did a Jewish and French wedding. But no Indian was willing to invest in a wedding film until I made my first Indian wedding film with a Hindi song in it, and it became really popular. It broke records online in terms of going viral. And when something like that happened, it started becoming a trend. What I've seen now is that it's become a necessity, because what I did realize is that I have certain brides and grooms who watch their video every day. There's a bride who I know who wakes up in the morning, has a chai, and with her chai she'll watch a trailer to a wedding video, and after that she'll text me also and be like, today I felt this. And I think every day when they watch it, they experience something new and they see a new layer to it, because we try and layer each film with tons of emotions, and it goes through the happiness, the sadness, the love, the attachment, and the detachment from their own families. You see that graph through a wedding video. The first song I recorded was in 2012. I heard a mami sing a version of Din Chagnada during the Chura, and when she was singing it, she sang it a little besura, so I couldn't use it in the film. But I found the song pretty, and I found that moment very special. So I decided to record it, but this time I wanted to record it because it's our age and our generation. I thought we'd make it more contemporary. So I'd use an acoustic guitar instead of a sitar. I used a more westernized voice instead of a traditional Indian voice. We harmonized it and added layers to it, and it became very soulful. And then suddenly it became the song that every bride wanted to walk into. With each song, our popularity grew, and I think our superpower is the ability to choose the right soundtrack and to create the right soundtrack for the right emotion. Indian weddings are very musical, and most photographers and other video companies that I know of don't really pay attention to sound, because in photography, sound is not something you hear, it's not something you pay attention to, but in a film, it's half your movie. What is said, which dialogues, and how they're said. Is it a voiceover? Is it a speech? Or is it a mother whispering a blessing into her daughter's ear? Each one has to be captured differently using a different tool. But you have to be prepared to make sure that you have the right tools to capture them, and then use it properly and use it sensibly and creatively. I guess a good wedding videographer would prepare themselves intensely, but not so much that it blocks your path of creativity. You want to plan, but you should know that at a wedding, there's only that much you can plan for. The magic lies in the unexpected. So, A, plan, and B, be prepared to break that plan. That's the first tip I would give them. Dress well, because it's always nice to present yourself properly at a wedding, and respect the person's event. It shows that you value their friendship and you value their event, and you want to be part of it, not just capture it. The other thing I would say is be approachable, so that you don't frown all the time when you're shooting, and don't be aloof all the time. Try and speak to people, try and get to know their relationships with the bride and groom, so that you can capture them the right way, and you can look for the right expression, and you can look for the right time that they will react.